They are smart, they are funny, and unfailingly entertaining. They are the adults in the room, and they are here to help you be the best adult you can be. Whether it is matters of the heart, finances, or work that's weighing on your mind, worry not. The adults in the room will help you stay winning.
Just get into it, man. It's about that time for us to get into our hot topic. Today we're discussing how do you overcome a bad job market using personal branding, man. And Eric, as you break it down, do you just want to share the good news?
Absolutely. We are not experts in matters image and personal branding. So the very good team at Spice FM, including Mumbi, went out of our way to get an expert in this field, and we'll be joined by, I can even see on standby, Nthenya Macharia. Nthenya is a image consultant. She's looking elegant. Just waiting to share some of the gems she's learned over years with you and I, with DM Skilizaji, so that we can better together learn and improve on areas that need improving. But just very quickly, in the wake of the pandemic's economic damage, how is your personal branding helping your employability and long-term image? All right? How is it helping your employability and long-term image? Emmanuel, as I've been thinking about personal branding, a lot of it is said only on the outward side. In fact, I'm very keen and curious, and I'll ask Nthenya, if you guys permit me, if that's all there is to it. There's a woman who sells me mamboga. And when one time I found her shop had been closed, so I went to a woman adjacent to her who was very, very rude. Very rude woman.
You have experience with rude people.
Yes, her demeanor was really off-putting and just very... So I swore just by one interaction that I'll never go there again. So much that if my lady of Mboga is not around, I'd rather not buy Mboga.
You were starving that time.
But not go to that woman. So I think that still goes into personal branding. There's a lady, her name is Dina Smith. She's the owner of Cognitas. She wrote an article on fastcompany.com, and she said something quite profound that I want to share with you. She said, to clarify your desired personal brand, you need to ask yourself the following questions. Are you guys listening, DM Skilly?
I am listening. Man.
Number one, she said, you ask, what do I want to be known for? In the respective discipline you are in, what do I want to be known for? The second question she said we should ask is, what value or results do I want to deliver through my efforts? All right. Number three, she said, how do I want my colleagues to describe me? Remember, I keep saying that some people bring happiness wherever they go, others bring happiness whenever they go. So she says, number three, how do I want my colleagues to describe me? All right. And then number four, how will my personal brand reflect who I am and who I want to be? So I thought that is food for thought as we go along into the conversation. But my personal feelings about personal branding, not Dina's, Emmanuel, is that I feel very strongly that even more than the outward appearance that a lot of us lay too much emphasis on, I think there's a lot that needs to be said about dependability, reliability, and even as we were saying yesterday, about somebody's reputation. And I've learned that it's not just in the higher tiers at the corporate level, but even in the lowly levels, as we would say, from, say, somebody who was selling in a grocery store, or even somebody just peddling their vegetables. Personal branding plays a key role, whether in the higher stakes or in the low stakes.
In fact, in my lay interactions with, this phrase of personal branding, sometimes you meet some people who are all dolled up, and they keep throwing the word branding. Check branding, man. Branding. So you see a guy, in a very nice suit, and crocodile, crocodile skin shoes, and they're looking good. Nice car, looking good. But if you hang around with them for a while, you'll figure out that they're just like that's just a facade. It's just like a smoke shield. But if you now dig in under the suit, you realize this person has a very fishy character. So all these things from the phone, and they don't normally say those things. They say you have to have a certain phone, Barbara, and then on that phone you have to have a key of a German machine. All right. So now when you go and meet a client, then now the suit. So now when you go and meet a client, you angusha the key and the phone, which is I, and then and then you put it there, and then now that is branding. But as you've said, it has to be deeper than that.
I hope
you can't just be looking good, but your inside is looking totally strange. And I can't wait for Nthenya just to ask like what to do with such characters, man.
For me, personal branding, I agree with what both of you are saying, but I would add, I feel, when they say first impression matters? So yes, I feel yes, your first impression really matters. So yeah, you need to look good if you can. You need to look dapper. It doesn't cost a lot sometimes, even just to get cleaned up. So yes, for me, appearance is important. But despite appearance, as you're saying, there needs to be more than that. Your behavior should matter. You get your behavior, your character, as Eric was saying, should actually accompany that particular appearance. And then also how you communicate with people. I think those three things need to go together so that it becomes or hand in hand. I know maybe there are other things that you can add on, but I feel if you're going to look good, your appearance, your behavior, your character, and how you communicate or relate to other people matters for you to package yourself appropriately.
Eric, there's something said which is related to what I was writing. I wrote, what do people think when they think of you? That should be a question on personal branding, right?
Yes.
Like the first thing that comes to mind when you think of, say, Emmanuel.
Yeah.
Like that should be a picture in regard to the personal brand that you've painted out there.
Yeah.
And I feel like it speaks a lot in regards to character.
Absolutely. I was reading an exercise that was carried out somewhere in America about two senior managers. And they had very diverse differences in about ways they carried out their teams. So when these exercises began, some managers were saying that it feels dehumanizing to consider themselves in the same light as a product. So they were not quite sitting well with the idea of wanting to work on their personal branding, because they were like, that feels like like some sort of a gadget. All right. Then later on, when the exercise was being done, they were being asked the question, is the brand that you have, because you have a brand, whether you recognize it or not, you have a brand. So the question that they were being asked then, is the brand that you have the one you want to be out there? All right. So they're like, wait on a minute, what brand? So they're told there's a brand, there's an energy you emit, all right? Are you highly regarded in your field of practice? Does your positive reputation precede you, for instance? They're also being asked, do people enjoy working for you or with you? Or are you controlling and abrasive in your management style with your colleagues, all right? Do people within the company object to collaborating with you or your team, for instance? And they're saying, wait on a minute. So these things all play out about what's up with you.
Continue.
Do these things all, work out in regards to collaborating with my personal branding? They're like, absolutely. Who you are in a team or even an individual, adds up tantamounts to who you ultimately becomes in terms of your personal branding. So I just thought that was very interesting.
So they did want to relate the the first thing that comes to your mind. That's really big when you're pitching a product. So they do want to relate that now to a human being.
Yes, they do want to relate. And later on, these two managers, especially who are managing some of the toppest teams in that organization, were found out that their management style was ultimately affecting their personal brand. So that the ones whose team did not want any collaboration with them had an issue with their personal branding. All right? They had an issue with their personal branding. So it zeroed into, if you can manage your brand, if you're more agreeable, and if you're more understanding and if you're listening more, then chances are your team would lean more towards wanting to work with you. But your abrasive nature, commanding people around, make people want to,
more like your character.
Yeah. So it boils down to that.
Barbara, when you think of, personal branding, you can just throw out something like, what is the first thing you think about when you see a fundi? Like a tailor. You know, like, you know what you think. You think, hey, I'm a tailor.
Delay.
bana. Yeah, delay. Even Fundi Wambao, you know, like it has become like that's their brand.
They
So,
have-
yeah,
Unfortunately, majority of them have a certain reputation.
yes, they tell you 2 weeks this thing will be ready, and then
A
after
month
2
plus.
weeks nothing. So they start zungushing you. Even
They even ask for deposit and run away.
yes, even guys who used to make signs back in the day. You know that these guys who they used to do hand signs. Most
Like
of them
sign
were no signs. You know, like Barbara Enterprises.
Oh, okay,
So you
yes.
go, the guy he draws your sign. Before this, like if you can't afford a printed logo, there are
Yes.
these guys who do art with their
Yes.
hand. So those guys, you know, they were really known for being drunks. So you give him the deposit for making your sign, and
Goes on Chapa,
It goes
Toyota.
missing.
yes, then you'll never ever see your sign until maybe he's thirsty. You know, so he'll maybe take money from another guy who wants a sign, then he makes your sign. So I feel like that's you know, a good way
But
of just
we have some creatives who have that particular problem. I don't know. They're very good at what they do, but their reputation and how they treat their clients actually just makes you say, you know what, as much as I like Mr. X and he's known for doing good work, you do not want to go through that tedious process of fighting and hustling with him to get what you want.
We'll get you know, deeper into the conversation as you know, we go along. You know, we are the adults in the room. Thank you so much for making the time to join us. Eric, you want to welcome our peeps?
Absolutely. A very good evening to you, dear Mskilizaji. If you're just joining us, some of you, I see you are just leaving the office, driving, you know, and tuning into 94.4. We thank you for that. If you're joining us, we are discussing how you and I can overcome a bad job market, you know, like the one we're currently in, which has been necessitated by the global pandemic, using our personal branding. And who better to have this conversation with? We've had a very great honor to be joined by Nthenya Macharia, who is an image consultant. Nthenya is on the line. Hi, good evening. Can you hear us?
Hello, Nthenya, can you hear us? All right, we'll give her, you know, a moment, you know, just to connect. But everything on this end of the earth seems all right. Can you hear us?
Hi there.
Yes,
Yes, there you are.
Not very sure if it's yours or mine.
No, now we can hear you. Can you hear
I
us?
can.
Oh, fantastic.
I can hear you, yes.
Oh,
Oh,
awesome,
great. Good
awesome,
stuff.
man. Eric,
Nthenya, karibu sana. I was just saying that I'm very excited, particularly. My name is Eric. We are the adults in the room. Just to quickly do an introduction, it comprises of the three of us. My name is Eric Omondi. There's a gentleman who you can see. His name is Emmanuel. We call him Lumumba because of his glasses. And then there's a gorgeous lady in the studio. Her name is Barbara
Hi, Nthenya.
Mbaka.
Hi, nice to meet you all.
Absolutely.
And I'm excited to be with the adults in the room.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much. We have the fourth person who makes the adults in the room complete. Their name is Mskilizaji. And we have 2 seats for them, but they're not in today. Like, you know, they're online listening.
so, Eric, you know, if you could, you know, allow me to get the ball rolling.
Oh, sure.
You know, Nthenya, you know, I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. I'm sure you're gonna school me on that in a moment.
You are.
That's amazing. I feel great.
I'm the one who told him about it, but carry on.
Really? They were arguing about it. They didn't know how to pronounce it. Don't worry.
Yes, you know, I had you. You know, you're talking on another.
You had a practice session. That's good.
Yes, we did.
You're talking on another platform, and you know, I don't know if
Barbara, I'm sure you came through for me.
Barbara.
Yeah, no, she says, but she's sure Barbara came through.
Oh
for her.
yes,
Definitely.
yes. In regard to the pronunciation. So we were talking about you know, personal branding, you know, from a lay perspective, and I just want to throw it out to you in like, how would you describe it? For you know, for someone who's never even come across that phrase, at least on a very serious level, how would you describe what you know, personal branding is, and you know, its importance?
So we start with, for the longest time, the world has dealt with large brands, which were products or services, and we know them. They're big, they're colorful, and they're around the world. Then we discovered that the brands were not just brands without people. And so we began to brand people. So a personal brand is your combination, or let's say your unique combination of skills, expertise, your experience, and your personality. This is what you want to show the world. And you do this by promoting yourself through what we call the ABCs of image. So we have appearance, behavior, and communication. Appearance is how we look and the outward experience. Behavior is how we interact with people, and how we act. And then communication is how we interact. In today's world, there's another facet of communication, which is digital, which then leads us to our online real estate. And I think we'll spend a lot of time talking about that today because of COVID-19 and the pandemic.
Yes.
Nthenya, it's very interesting you say that. I'm always curious about behavior. Is behavior just a requirement I need to adorn when I'm in a public space, and then when I'm in my private abode, I can let loose and be whoever I want to be? Or does it have to be public and private?
Yeah, we'll give up.
You're actually correct.
Yes.
Once you're in the comfort and confines of your home,
Yes.
you let your hair down, dress funny, as long as you're in the comfort of your home. Yeah. The minute you leave your house and are exposed to other people, then it becomes a different ballgame. Yeah. And then now, because of the pandemic and having to work from home, there's still now the dynamic of the online space, which means that you still have to be presentable when you come on the online space. So yes, you're at home, but you are in front of a wider audience.
So, I'm sure she's in the middle of answering it.
When you're interacting with people.
So
basically,
just to stick there on the...
now it's about...
just to stick there on the online, comment that you're talking about. Is it so important? Say like now in the studio, you can just see my jacket and my shirt. Is it so important to be fully, adorned now that I'm just presenting this upper space of my body? Or does it do something to my, psychic if I just look good from top to bottom?
So that's the advantage of being having the online space. Now we are only doing the top up, and you can wear your shorts and be as comfortable as you want to be. However, you must then remember that if you plan to stand up or be seen the rest of your body, you must make sure that everything else looks the part. But for now, with the online space, we're looking at your face, we're looking at your facial expressions, and we're looking mostly jacket up. Nothing after that. So it's a good space to be in right now. Unlike when we had to go out to meet people, and then you have to wear your entire 9 yards in terms of the look that you have when you're going out to meet people.
Nthenya, I've always wondered, just before I throw it to Barbara, there is part of what has been pushed forward as personal branding is, apart from just how you appear, is even how you speak. Should I learn to roll my tongue perhaps so that I sound sophisticated?
So that falls under communication. So the first question was about our outward, which is the appearance, how we look. Yes. And then the second is the behavior, how we conduct ourselves when we're in front of people, like now using our gestures and our expressions, our facial expressions will all form part of our behavior. Communication has to do with then our verbal communication in terms of how we speak. Now, when we're faced with speaking over the internet, unlike before where we would have to speak, we are usually speaking really fast. We may have to speak a little slower because by the time the sound is transmitted through the medium, it doesn't go as fast as a regular conversation. So yes, you may have to pronounce your words better. You may have to enunciate your words. And especially for a listening audience, they're using your words and how you express yourself to create images and pictures. And the clearer you are, the better it is. the better the communication. So it's important not to necessarily have a twang, but depending on who you're, we say that in communication, there are differences that we interact with. And so if you're speaking to, say, an American, you can't say, give me water, because they'll be like, what is that? You'll have to probably say, I'd like some water. If you're speaking to my different direction, the direction that you're
All right, we have, some...
communication is a message that you want people to hear.
All right, we lost you, about towards the end, but I think I got the gist of the answer that you gave. Barbara, you want to throw in something?
Yes, Nthenya, how can one reinvent their personal brand, especially during this pandemic?
I have three things that I think are very important. The three now are: number one, you must be relevant. And so by being relevant, I think a lot of us need to take the bold to put ourselves out there and be in the public eye through the online real estate, which is either having a website, your social media, whether it's Instagram. Pick the platform that you think works best for you, and then be fearless to present yourself as an expert in your field, as well as telling people what I heard this said before. What value are you bringing to people in this experience right now? Looking for people who will give solutions and give information that is relevant to the moment and to the experience. And relevant could be telling people what job opportunities there are. Relevant could be rallying people together to have a cause, whether it's supporting people who are homeless or needing food.
All right.
It's important that you are respectful when you speak out in public.
So that completely eliminates...
Whether it's on social media or we tend to have a culture that we tend to have a culture of very rude people and people who don't value other people. If we don't value other people, you're going to find that they then will resist your message and they will move away from what it is that you are trying to say. And so I think being respectful and understanding that everyone is dealing is also very key. Not factual, that is not fact checked. And there's a lot of fake news. And so I say you cannot be part of sending rumors or sending fear or comfortable in their space. So if you have those three, you'll find that your brand will begin to be propelled as you put out content onto the platforms that are available.
Can I have a fearless twerking video that is quite respectful every, say, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with that consistency?
So what I'm going to say is you need to find your audience. And so if your audience, you must identify your audience. For example, adults in the room, just by calling yourselves that means that you're not looking for children, you're not looking for kids to be part of this conversation. Yes. And so then there probably is an expectation to have adult content and things that are relevant to adults. Now, if you've identified your audience as the twerkers and the people who enjoy twerk behavior, then go right ahead. Be the best twerk person there can be.
Twerk video uploader.
But that means you've identified your audience. And so for the rest of us going out there to look for not twerking, then don't go to that platform. Yeah. You shouldn't expect that from that platform. So for me, it's knowing what your audience is, who your audience is, and what your audience is looking for. And in this world, you can't be liked by everybody. Yes. And so some people may like you and others may not like what you're doing. But if you find your tribe, then you know what, you'll be good.
Nthenya, there are many people who are, they were driving, this online taxi apps. and now they've found themselves, congregated somewhere, selling, tomatoes and potatoes and different things, and also just regular guys who the job market has just gone down, so you just took your car and you parked it somewhere and you're selling your stuff. Like, how would you what would you throw out for someone like that, like to make themselves different from the other guy whose car is parked right next to me and also selling similar stuff? Like, what strategies would someone like that use?
I think we need to leverage the online space. I think that if, say, for example, you're selling tomatoes, number one, become the best tomato seller there is. Secondly, promote yourself as the best tomato seller there is on all platforms. So whether you're going to put a picture of a tomato on your car, whether you're going to open an online space, it may be Facebook, it may be WhatsApp. I think WhatsApp is another very good space where you have a list of contacts. A lot of us have many contacts on our phone, probably more than 100 each. If you were to begin every Tuesday and Thursday, I distribute and sell tomatoes, you may have an edge over the guy that's parked next to you waiting for people to pass by.
Even if you go to the streets in town, you find like there's a salon here, there's a salon the next door. You find someone has one of those mobile transfer things, the next person and the next person. I don't know if it's a culture of like, if I see Manuel prospering, I think I need to do the same.
Yes, I've seen Eric doing really well in adults in the room. So even me now, I look for another place where I can be an adult in that room.
Yes.
So I just call it adult in that room.
Yeah.
Check, welcome to adult in that room.
Yes.
But obviously, if you're a copycat, you're going to get very different results. There's something that I'm going to ask Nthenya when we get her back in regard to personal branding, which is not very big on this side of the earth, which is time management. Sometimes we're not really good at managing time on this side of the earth.
Absolutely. They say TIA. This is Africa.
Yes.
Yeah, so that if someone agrees that you're going to meet at 8 o'clock, you can sort her in at around 10:45 and get super surprised they've left. Cheki, kwani umeenda?
Yeah.
Si ilikuwa tukutane hapa, cheki, ilikuwa jana. And then you start causing and saying the way they should have waited for you for 48 hours. I would also want to hear what she said. Is she back?
Yeah, I think she's
Hi,
back.
Nthenya, are you back?
Hi, I'm back. Yay.
Karibu sana once again.
We must have you here in flesh, eh?
Yeah.
Once this corona goes away, we need you here for...
The challenges of Mutandao.
I'm telling you, my sister. Hey, tunaumia.
This is it's part of what we are navigating as a continent. Let me say that because the internet speeds but we will overcome.
We shall overcome someday.
Nthenya, I was asking my colleagues.
We're starting solidarity together.
I was asking my colleagues here in the studio about how important time management is in regard to your personal branding, and is it still a factor in this online-based world?
So belongs to your behavior, and it's we are people oriented as opposed to time oriented. And so the meeting can be for 10 o'clock, but if you bump into somebody who had a problem, you'll send a text to people and say, I'll come a few minutes late, or niko kwa jam, ninakam.
Yeah.
While the online space now is requiring for us to be punctual when it comes to the meetings, because the Zoom calls, for those who haven't paid for the full thing, if it's 40 minutes, it's 40 minutes. If you come in at the 20-minute mark, you only have 20 minutes left. So the dynamics of time have changed. I do think also that we are a lying culture. So we have a lot of niko hapa tu unioni, niko kwa jam.
Yes.
We have a lot of lies when it comes to time and being on time. So it's important for us in this season to be people of our word, because the brand is about your personality. And if people begin to say, that one is always late, that one is unreliable, that person is like this. That follows you from the beginning to the end. Let's go back to the tomato seller. If the guy is usually there at 9 o'clock and the next day he comes at 10, then he'll lose our business because we were expecting him to be there at 9. We'll buy from the guy who was there at 9. And so time is critical, and it helps to grow you as a personal brand when people know that you keep time and that you are good with time.
Nthenya, what are your thoughts on shifting our mindset as a society when it comes to personal branding? Because there was a time a few years back, in fact, I'm just embracing it right now. I used to think when you talk about personal branding, I'm thinking about celebrities, artists. I never used to think as me as a person. So do you think it's high time, like we have a shift mindset, or what are your thoughts about it?
I think that the pandemic and us being forced to either work from home, people losing their jobs, has made us think about our personal brand a lot more. You realize that stability which was found in a job may not be there tomorrow. You begin to think, what else can I do? And so it's important for people to begin to think about it as well as work on their personal brand. What are people saying about you when it comes to being online? I should say that the world is still, by the way, hiring. As we have people being fired, the world is still hiring. Yeah. There are companies today that are making more money than they were making before the pandemic started. Yes. And so the opportunities are there, and the world is looking for you or for me. But if you're not there to be found, then unfortunately you'll miss out on the opportunities. So us having a good, strong personal brand and thinking about putting out our personal brand is very critical at this time.
Nthenya, thank you so much for making the time. You were here, so early, and we've just had a couple of challenges with the connection. How can someone find you? Because you're a walking resource. First we're gonna get you here, in the flesh somehow. And how can
with
someone,
my mask?
Yes. How can someone find you if I want to connect with you?
So my website is Nthenya.com. I am Nthenya Macharia on all platforms on media. I have my site that you can reach me directly if you want to do that.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty.
All right, Nthenya.
And I should say, I really enjoyed being with us in the room. I really wish we had more time because there's so much to discuss about this topic.
Yes.
And I will now definitely make sure that we keep this conversation going.
Oh my goodness, I cannot wait for you to come here in person, and thank you so much for according us your time very graciously, and also waiting in the periphery even when we're having hitches. Thank you so much. And that will get to her in another part.
Let me see, you have an extra seat just for me.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much, Nthenya. We were, connecting there with Nthenya Macharia, who is, I believe, one of the best, branding experts that we have on this side of the earth. And, you just want to connect with her with the socials that she's shared. And hopefully soon we're going to have her in the flesh right here in the studio for 2 hours, Barbara.
Yes,
so that
definitely.
we can just, just get all the juice, and just get everything from her, because I believe she has much, much more. That was just a tip of the iceberg. The 1 + 1 is equals 2, sindio? But sometimes this, sometimes you really wonder why this, this calculation is not in Gyanang, because you have, the wrong figure on this other end. You're poor in, time management. You have great products.
Yes.
You have, as Miss Nthenya was telling us, your products are clean, they're all put together, but you just don't deliver on time. You see, there was this guy who posted some very nice picture of these guys who do, Barbara, these guys who make windows, this fundi wachuma.
Yes.
Like they make windows and stuff like that.
Like
gates.
the frames?
Yes. So this guy had some serious designs, and he was posting them on some group on Facebook. Then somebody down there wrote, your job is really nice. Mbona ushiki simu? na mbona udeliver on time. Unasema last week, hii wiki, like where are you? Like this person was looking for this guy and they couldn't find him. So they
But
said
he's seeing the
arguing.
person posting.
Yes, so they said arguing now under that post that I told you, I'll call you and stuff like that. So I think sometimes we dream of reaching levels of success, but now a small thing is what is holding us back. E.g., not managing time, even as a country. So as a country, we are not managing time because and individuals put together, they form a country, and you're going to get that result. So I think that little thing like managing time can have a huge impact and affect your personal.
No, it's true. As I keep saying, you can't make cake with one ingredient. There's a guy on a road I jog every morning who every day I jog with, be it at 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, and one time at 6:30. Was always there. Rather, he's always there setting up his roast maize in Kibanda.
In the morning?
Every time. I've never, like a clock. He's always there. All right? So I think that also speaks about reliability and consistency. That if I can rely, I could almost close my eyes and send the guard and say, go to that corner and get me 4 combs of maize.
And you'll get it.
Because this guy is there and he's always there. So I believe that if you're going to have a fantastic cake, your cake being business or even, you being an employer or an employee, then you want to use all these ingredients to make your cake better. And that includes being present when you say you'll be present, reliability, somebody can rely upon you. My sister told me a very interesting story. She was then working at a bank, and then her friend was scrolling through a comedian I used to know, his pictures. And then there's a picture in there that I was in. And then this lady, while scrolling before she got to that picture I was in, said, Aki uyu jamasi anakuwaga chokora. Siku moja, so she started a whole story about how this guy went away with her girlfriend and did some crazy things with her and so on and so forth. And then my sister was like, oh, really? So he does that. So this chick was going on about this crazy comic, at least in accordance to her story. And then she got to where I was with this comic. And then my sis was telling me she froze. She was just like, oh my God, I don't want to be embarrassed. And I was like, oh, guy, anajua umse. Then she started zooming. And she started saying, one time we went over where there was this guy. This guy did A, B, C, D, X, Y, and Z. Oh my goodness, this guy. And my sister was saying that luckily she had good things to say about these are the guy who happened to have been me. So she was telling me I was so horrified if she were to say something negative about you.
And you're my...
All right. And then now if I would, strut into the bank and then find them sitting side by side, the embarrassment, Not to say that I'm excellent, but I'm just saying that if somebody is going to say that about your business, then you're missing out. And as we know, business often comes from word of mouth, all right? So if I say Emmanuel is a brilliant graphic designer, he did this job for me, and then now you seek Emmanuel out, and then Emmanuel delays with the deliverables, you're going to say it to somebody else. You'll be like, you know what, while his work is excellent, his time is very poor. He's not impeccable at keeping time. So all that to say that you can't make cake with one ingredient. You have to sit together and see all the ingredients are present, and then also apportion them to the required degree. Huwezi eka chumvi nyingi kushinda skari. Ama mayai nyingi kushinda poda.
So you can't just be time conscious, but your product is work.
Yes. Or you're keeping time, your product is work, or your product is excellent, and then you are late.
Or you're
Or you are on time, your product is excellent, but you have a terrible attitude. Ukiambiwa unaweza nitengezea ingine, you start yelling. Cheki, so ulisema kala mbili. Yeah. So you have to enforce all those things together.
I agree with both of you, what you're saying. And I just want to add on, if you're going to improve on your personal branding or your business, self-promotion is important. And part of self-promotion is what you people are saying. Even if I'll go online, as you're saying, this particular fundi was trying to promote himself and someone comes and pokes some hole in it, there's going to be a challenge. So as you think of self-promoting your product or promoting what you are selling or promoting you yourself, maybe you're an MC, maybe you're an actress, find out, have you cleaned your brand? Can anyone, as Eric is saying, poke holes, or will people have bad things to say or good things to say about you? So if it is in terms of delivery, in terms of you having good customer service or customer relations, avoid being rude, punctuality, all that just plays in part on self-promotion of your
Self-promotion is not like advertising yourself?
part of personal branding. That's what I'm saying. Part of personal branding, you have to promote yourself. You remember when what is her name? Nthenya was saying you have to put yourself out there. We're in a different time and phase, and digitally you have to try and make your presence. And you need to choose a platform that you're comfortable with. Is it or the Facebook, the Twitter, your website, or are you doing flyers? Whatever it is. Now, for the case, let me give the case that you were using of the Fundi. He was using the pictures on that particular site or that particular group to promote himself. And while he is doing a good job and the pictures showed something that that his work is timam and it's clean, someone came to the TL, as you're saying, and was asking about delivery, or was asking about how he communicates. So there, in terms of his promotion, he was failing. Yeah. So you need to also work on certain things so that when you decide to promote yourself, your character as a whole is good.
Yeah, and we'll get more into that, people, as we go along. This is 94.4 Spice FM, and we are the adults in the room. Eric and Barbara, too, when we come back, we can talk also a little bit about, there's a lot of conmanship, especially when it comes to, this personal branding saga.
Yes.
You remember the story about the alleged con called Wilkins, who allegedly did a number on a couple of people. We'll talk about that when we come back. It's exactly 9 o'clock. A big shout out to you wherever you are. This is 94.4 Spice FM. Big shout out to my people out there in Malindi, 97.7 Kisumu City.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. Sugar and spice and everything nice.
Eldoret, the city.
Spice FM.
Spice up your life.
96.7. We love all of you. And also our online people, www.spicefm.co.ke. We're discussing, all things personal branding today. We're discussing how do you overcome a bad job market using personal branding. We had a guest earlier, Nthenya Macharia, who came through and was dropping some gems. And we've just taken it up from there and just trying to move the conversation along. We'll open up the phone lines shortly. 0719012600 is the number. And before we went on the break, Eric, I threw out a story about this personal branding. Some people misrepresent and say they're doing personal branding, and it ends up being a major con job. The conversation that you brought up a couple of weeks ago about how to tell the difference between someone who's genuine and a con job would come through, amazingly right now, so that you just know this information I'm getting, is it, genuine, information, or is this person a con?
All right. Yeah, it's very interesting. I wish, and I'll talk to Mumbi privately, to put Nthenya as the top 3 guests that we're going to be having. She's a good sport, and just to have her here for an entire hour. Somebody said something so profound once. They said that you need to be so good at what you do so that people will not use many words to describe you. And I cannot agree more with that saying. If you hear of golf, who do you think of? Tiger Woods, and I think I've talked about this here. And if somebody says Denzel, you think of an actor. And if somebody said Whitney Houston, you think of a singer. And if somebody said leader, you would think, in fact, I was looking at the list of most respected men globally, and Barack Obama was scoring very highly on number 2. I think after somebody else, I forget, but Obama caught my eye. And these guys are respected for what they do. Not of scandals or weird things, what they do. So when we began this conversation, I was saying that Dina Smith said that in your introspection about the brand value that you possess or you bring to the table, one of the things you must ask yourself, be you a teacher, a carpenter, a doctor, an orator, is how do I want my colleague or customers to describe me? I think that is a truth teller about who you are and the brand you give. So that if somebody was asking sportsmen to describe the golf maestro, Mr. Tiger Woods, that is who he's been putting out there. Whether or not it's true is debatable, but that is who he'd be putting out there. A story is told about some radio host who would go to the bar, and I've told this story here before, and go to the bar, drink himself quite into a stupor, and then he'd drive to work and park at the basement. He was trying to catch a snooze, and then he can go upstairs to the studio from around 4 in the morning, do his show, and then now go home to sleep. But many a times, he would not be very successful in this quest because he was so drunk, he'd sleep at to 11. So he'd find many missed calls from the boss because that's a station wanacheza ngoma too. All right? And while he was excellent in his craft, one time I was paired with this particular individual for a TV show. I got there good and early, 1 hour prior, and then the host was calling this guy literally 10 minutes to us going on there. I said, "Hi, where are you?" And I could hear because the phone was a bit loud. He says, "Do this. You just start. I'll just start. I'm just finishing my point and then I come." And as it would go, he never appeared. In fact, as we were going on, this host was calling to say, "Just don't come," but he never came. All right. So then you can an impediment, all right, which he's refusing to sort out. It's cost him jobs. To date, if you speak to any voice artist, they'll tell you he is the best artist at his job. Like, he doesn't do 15 takes. If you tell him to talk about adults in the room, in one take, he'll read it and like that. Well. But sasa amejikanganya na pombe. So one of the things I think I'd want to throw out there, even for myself, is that what is your testimony outside of yourself? Not what you tell yourself, because when you speak and you put yourself to court, Emmanuel, you might judge yourself fairly. Yes. But if you are not in the room and people are to speak about you, what would they say?
But now how do you find that out? Do you do some sort of, audit, like you ask around?
No, people will show you.
Because many times, truly, people don't really inquire about what other people think about them. And many times they say they don't care anyway. Check me, I don't care what they think. So if you're interested in knowing yourself, what people may be thinking about, even maybe your work, do you ask your colleagues? Or like how do you do it, man?
You know what I would do? They say all necessary truth is its own evidence. Sometimes we are so fixated about a big boss, so that in this case, Mr. Tom Japani is the person I need to impress. But life has taught me otherwise. Life has taught me that Mumbi would be observing me. Yes, I don't report to Mumbi, but she can observe me. So much so that someday somebody would say, "Do you know somebody who would want X, Y, and Z?" And said, "I just know the right person because she's observing me." There's a gentleman who works here, he's our colleague here. His name is Humphrey. And Humphrey is an excellent worker. I've never spoken to him much, but I look at him and I'm just like, this guy, this guy. All right? So people are observing you. So if you're listening, you do not want to entangle yourself with the need to impress the big boss, which most people do. So you're like, me, I work for a telco company. The big boss must know I come in early. No. Sometimes it's the janitor. Sometimes it's the fumigator man. He sees. He sees. And sometimes they would have the opportunity to be in the room and drop your name in there. So you want, as I was saying earlier in the beginning, character is doing the right thing even when nobody is seeing. So
because people are seeing.
Because people are seeing. I can tell you from observing here, because DM Skilizaji, if you went to www.spicefm.co.ke, we have a big window plane. I could see workers here. I can pinpoint the people from observing who I know are hard workers.
Like there's a chick over there, huko nyuma, the second row, huko nyuma.
Yeah.
She's just always there.
Absolutely. So the thing is this. One time, Barbara, I used to take this lady. She would not be accessed. She would not be allowed access into into these high-end hotels. She'll be like, Eric, you are really charming and you know how to talk to these guards. Would you please go with me to just sit with me for 5 minutes and leave me? Because guards would assume that every single woman is a prostitute, wrongly.
Yes.
So,
I've had some women say that.
So I took her one time and took her the second time. Third time, we'd gone to meet a friend of hers who was meeting another white guy. And then she said to me, she was a Somali, lovely lady, baby. She moved to New York. She said to me, Eric, please sit and have a drink because we are leaving shortly. And this guy comes, an American guy, big voice. He says, what's your name? And he's a bit tipsy. And we have a conversation. He said, you know what? You're the person I've been looking for a role. I thought, these drunk Americans. He said, no, I'm very serious. Take my card, call me tomorrow, give me your number, I'll call you. So I give him my number and I don't think much of it. The following day, I didn't even have a phone. I had to walk around looking for my friend Kevin to give me a phone. I had a SIM card. I slide my SIM card in, put my phone on, +1 calling. I'm like, hi, this is Kit Thompson. I'm the guy you met yesterday night. Would you come back to X Hotel? I say, yeah, sure, I would. Then he gives me a contract and I get a job. 6 months later, fly all the way to South Africa.
South Africa.
And go for training in London and so on and so forth. Courtesy of, that association. Because of Baby. Baby was putting in a good word. Baby was not an excellent person in the corporate ladder. But she kept saying, I swear to God, I can bet on this guy. I can bet 1 million shillings on this guy. Baby used to live in Isili. So people see and people hear. So the idea that you're impressing 1 or 4 people is misguided. You have to just do what you got to do every day.
They are smart, they are funny, and unfailingly entertaining. They are the adults in the room, and they are here to help you be the best adult you can